Welcome to the Kinjaz PodKast. Here we will discuss dance, life, and whatever the we want.
What's up, guys? We are back. Another episode. We are really excited today. This is the first time we're recording a separate intro. The reason being we started doing video and we just kind of got into the conversation. Super excited about today's episode. So today, guys, we have Steven Twitch Boss in the house. You might recognize him as a resident DJ on the Ellen DeGeneres show. So You Think You Can Dance, Wade Robson Project, Star Search, Magic Mike, Double XL, Step Up, all that stuff. This guy's done literally tons of stuff just in the industry and all that, which is great, and definitely want to shout him out for that. But man, what I'm really excited about in this episode, just talking with this dude, you could really just see one, the history and like the stuff that he's done. I mean, he's an OG in the community and putting it down ever since. I mean, I think I met this dude back in like 2004 or something like that. And since then, he's just been doing so much, but just seeing his growth and his heart for the love of dance and just why he does what he does, and just seeing the integrity that this dude has in his approach to everything, man. It's really, really dope, really encouraging, really inspiring. This is a really fun conversation, and wish could have went longer just as usual, but I think he's gonna get his podcast up and running soon too, so be sure to look out for that. But really excited for this episode, so let's get into it. Happy listening, y'all. Welcome back to the Kinjaz PodKast, Movement in the Shadows. Folks, we are your hosts. I'm Ben.
I'm Charles. I'm back from jury duty.
And Mike Fowler's back there. Normally he's behind this guy, but he's working the camera. You can wave hi, Mike. What's up? I don't know how this works. We just started doing the video thing. Guys, it's weird because now that we have video, people already see who we have as a guest. So it's like the intro's a little weird. It's like we already see him sitting on the couch. All right, guys. we got Twitch in the house. Steven, Twitch Boss. Man, this guy, dude, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man.
It's freaking good to have you here. I mean, bro, you are a community OG, bro. I mean, we go back to the days where Boogie Zone, that was the community hub.
Yeah,
Boogie
100%.
Zone, right?
It was, and also that was like, and still, as far as I've seen, man, Boogie Zone was like the OG like dance social media, really. You know what I mean? Before like there was like social media, because you had like, it was the one-stop shop for everything, whether it was like discussion, especially like for videos, right? Like class video jump offs, beefs, where people were getting down. Yeah, I know, yeah. Community beefs, where people were getting down, man. Yeah, and it's just been a beautiful thing to see where it has. That was in its days. It's kind of like the dance community as far as the online presence in its infancy, right? Yeah. And it was just like, man, it's just exploded since then. You know?
I mean, you mentioned because that was before social media. That was before Instagram. Really before YouTube, even.
Absolutely.
And it was really it was the new thing, like even as a media platform. But especially it was something that was curated for the dancers, you know what I mean? So there's the forums where people discuss things, people would toss up videos. Literally, that would be my place to go to find videos.
Hell, man, of course.
Mike Fowler was the one who posted a bunch of those videos. You know what I mean? And it was so dope to have a place where people congregated in like a internet space to just discuss dance, man. But yeah, bro, like dude, since then, man, like, so you did Boogie Zone, Breed, right? Give us just like a brief, just like history of like how you came up, where you grew up, and how dance entered your life.
I think the brief, like, long story, as short as possible. I'm from born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama. And I've just always had a natural affinity to dance, no matter what, and this was, again, before dance and the exposure to dance, the many different dance styles was just at Fingerlinks. It was way before that, right? So I literally used to just kind of catch these little snippets of music videos and stuff like that, and just kind of learn, and then slowly I would learn that the place I needed to be was out west in LA, right? Rather than, because I was thinking New York, but then I learned that was a lot of stage shows and stuff like that. So I eventually migrated my way out here, and my grandfather told me that the only way that I could come out is if I found a school to go to, and then could supplement dance like that. So I went to Chapman University, which was like, looking back on it, this is one of those crazy things where you kind of like, you look back on a journey and realize how perfectly everything was falling into place without you even knowing it, because being at Chapman University kind of put me in a central location to where LA was just down the way there. But then more importantly, I think most important, the community that I found was like, it was just right there, and I had no idea. Do you remember this team? There was a team called Pulse. Do you remember?
Yes, yes, I do.
So I that was like my first introduction to the world of the community, because from there, Pulse went and performed at Culture Shock San Diego's the summer event. Oh my God!
Was it the showcase? Choreography
showcase?
Showcase?
The showcase.
Yeah.
So that was my first. That was my first time. That was my first time seeing Jabba get down.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea. And that's the craziest thing is, right? Again, it wasn't like this was just all over, YouTube and boom, boom, boom. Like I came to San Diego and was surprised. I had no idea the level of dance that I was about to see.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
And that was, when Funkonometry was getting down. Of course, Culture Shock San Diego, and like all the other Culture Shocks that were around. Who else was around? Second to None, before they started calling themselves 220.
Yeah,
right. Like I feel like there was a little time when they were like trying to be like second to none, but like people was just like, nah, that's 220. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Dang, bro.
So that was my first time meeting Lando Wilkins, Kevin Brewer, Rainin.
Yep.
Like for a good majority of Jabba, to be quite honest. And that just changed up my entire vibe, because I started to notice the difference between the industry and the community. And sorry, this is kind of turned into a tangent from the question I was answering earlier, but this was like it. That's why I said it was kind of like a perfect place to be, because I got this incredible juxtaposition of like, okay, so that's like this is the industry world over here. So that's a lot of TV, commercialism, film, stuff like that. And then these people are really getting down. Like this is like, you know what I mean? Like these are like practicing in parking lots until 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean? Because like there's not a studio available, or there's too many people to fit in a studio like that. So we're gonna do it outside. And just like little things like that, or what we consider little, will add so much to the idea of work ethic, and also like how bad you actually want it. Like I needed to be around that. You know what I mean? Like so anyway, from there, that's how I got introduced to Boogie's Own Breed.
Yeah.
And then eventually Chill Factor. Shout out Chill Factor.
Everybody remembers Chill Factor.
Yeah. And then so that was my introduction into the community there. And then from there, I just kind of went back and forth I was still the whole time trying to make industry auditions, and all that stuff like that. And eventually that cracked and got the ball rolling on that. And fast forward, here we are.
Rest is history. Man. So okay, you did come out to LA with the intention of kind of working within the dance industry. That was the intention.
Absolutely, yes.
And then so the barter with your grandpa was to go to school.
Yes, yeah.
And then obviously, dance kind of just found its own legs, and here you are, right? So I mean, let's take it back though, man. I mean, I remember seeing you on the Wade Robson Project.
That
was what, 03?
Wow, that was 03, yes.
Man, that was probably like one of the first like urban dance,
think it was.
Sort of TV competition shows. Before that, I mean, I don't really remember seeing much of like urban dance type stuff.
Exactly.
And then you went from there, you did the whole So You Think You Can Dance.
Right, absolutely.
And then, bro, you were like in all the Step Up movies.
Yeah, man.
Magic Mike to like Stomp the Yard, like man. All of it, man.
Yeah.
So, okay, so having seen both sides of it, okay, you mentioned the community and the industry, and then when I think of somebody like you, I feel like you are that perfect bridge that didn't just exist in one world. Like you literally, because I think for you, it wasn't so much of like, I would rather stay on this side of the fence or this side. For you, it just seemed like this is the world of dance, like no pun intended, right? But like it's just, there's a gigantic world that we all live in, and we love this thing, and it shouldn't just be this one side or the other.
Yeah.
And I feel like people that certain individuals that kind of grew up in that time frame of like maybe 03 to 07, 08, you know, which is like when all the urban dance shows started blowing up. ABDC came out in 08. So was there some sort of like a goal or a purpose that you were trying to bridge both, or did you kind of just naturally navigate all over the place and started kind of seeing it come together naturally?
Yeah, I think it's more along the lines of just kind of I did naturally kind of go between both, because like I said, I really needed both of those, you know, because both feed dance in a very different way, right? And where I found the most love and the most exploration and the most creativity was within the community, because at the time there wasn't a dollar sign involved, right? You know what I mean? So like, my love of dance brought me out here anyway, right? And then I did always want to work in the industry, and that was always so. Like I said, when I found like the community and people just getting down, like they're just for the love, like, you know what I mean, competing for the love, like. And then there's even like the exhibition teams, the competitive collegiate teams, but then there's also like we had the whole freestyle genre in that world too. It's just like it just blew my mind. So after I found that, there actually wasn't a way that I could find myself just living in one. Actually, I actually had to go back and forth, because I felt that each kind of fed each other. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes one more than the other. There was a time, you know, and I still think maybe even now, but like I felt there was a time heavily where the community was feeding the industry's creativity crazy and didn't even know it. You know what I mean? Like by ways of showmanship, being able to put a stage show together, and also one of the most important things I think that I saw come about is musicality, dog.
Yeah.
For me, I really do, and it might be a bold statement, but I think musicality, like the way that it is right now, like came directly from the community. I mean, of course, you had a lot of industry cats that were exercising that, like Marty Kudelka and Jason Wright. Yep. But also but their influences like came from like Super Dave. Yep. And like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Super Dave's influences came from the influences that inspired the community. So like it all kind of worked together. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, going back and forth between those worlds was like it was the best bet. You know what I mean? Because also, look, we're all here, like, and we can be real. Like, LA can be like really, really plastic sometimes. Sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you're going to seek something that's more fulfilling in your craft, sometimes it can be an endless race to find that there, because that's not necessarily what it's built on. It's built on a pretty picture. Sure. You know what I mean? On providing a pretty picture, and that goes with your movements too. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you can't really explore too much, like, because it's a little too far left. Whereas the community, we're about that, like, we're about the craft and pushing the level. Even if you look at it now, like there's a lot of industry cats that would not be able to come down to community classes and be able to take a class. Like, well, they could take class, but they would be, it'd be a lot. You know what I mean? Because the level has raised so much. The angles, the musicality, the timing, the footwork, you know what I mean, the athleticism. You feel me? Like that. LA is still creating pretty pictures. They're still taking a lot of influence from the things that are shaping and moving culture. Absolutely, but the community has consistently continued to raise the level, and I feel that now, especially because we're in an age where, you know, we have cameras in our hands, you know, and we can shed a light on literally anything. The world is a little more privy to that now. You know what I mean? I lived in Seoul, Korea for 9 months, and I was training. You know the group Big Bang?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I was training Big Bang, and I remember showing one of their dancers. I remember showing him one of Sean's videos, Sean Evaristo's videos on YouTube one time. This was like in 2006. And that act right there is just like, since that has started happening, the world has gotten that much smaller. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Like, whereas, and now it's no longer like, oh, let's have such and such that choreographed, Janet Jackson's video, or this person that choreographed this huge Stars video. Like, let's bring them here. They started looking at these stage shows and being like, oh my God, this is brilliant. Yeah. Let's bring them in. Like, who else is in this world? Oh my God, him too. Let's bring that, and that's, you know what I mean. Like, I think that speaks to a lot. It really does.
Yeah, I remember because Sean started working with like Taeyong and all those dudes, and I remember he started bringing on like Lyle.
Yes,
I mean, that's when it was an exciting time again, man. Going back to that 2008 to like even 12 time. I think because every year, let's say from when did Jabbawockeez do Step Up 2? I think that was like 06, 07, something right around there, right? And that was an exciting thing because it was like Step Up is this big Hollywood movie, and they're calling on an underground crew, so to speak, to be featured in there as themselves. Like not even just hiring them to, okay, you guys dance well, so we're gonna put you guys in this costume, or you guys are gonna just be this Asian gang. It's no, be the Jabbawockeez, you know? And that was so fun, man, because it was like finally there was some shine in our minds, like, yo, like this is about time. And then from there moving forward, like just seeing more and more of our friends getting these opportunities, not just to be in a commercial or a movie as a background, but like being the choreographers for these things, putting actual creativity, their own creativity that they've been doing for years, and finally getting a place like a world show, world stage to kind of put it on. But yeah, man, like, so, you being a part of all that, and I would say, because when I look at your career, I feel like there's always been, like, Twitch is always doing something, always kind of hustling, right? And then, I don't know, from my perspective, I'm like, but there's this moment that I felt like, boom, like it happened, you know what I mean? Like, you're on Ellen, bro, like, the resident DJ there. I mean, so from your perspective as that dancer at heart, that's always, I feel like you're always going to have that heart, which is what I love, man. We appreciate that. How do you feel like you balance sort of the business of Hollywood and, LA being what it is, and kind of just maintaining the core of who you are as a person, not even just as a dancer, but as Twitch. I mean, life moves on. You got a family now, all that, right? So 100%. Like, how do you feel like you kind of maintain, the integrity of just who you are?
Yeah, I mean, that's also a great question, man, because it's a constant work in progress, and I'd also love to. Also, after I talk about it, I'd love to open that question up to y'all too, because like like y'all have kind of been along a similar path, whereas a lot more eyes and notoriety and things are coming. So I'd love to know what y'all think too. But also having a family, that's home base. Like for me, I have my wife Allison and my daughter Wesley and my son Maddox. Like that's the priority above all now. Like, do you know what I mean? So that is the number one. That's everything, right? So like everything else emanates forth from that. Before, like it was, I really struggled with that kind of balance, like running back and forth to make sure that like, I was like making sure that I was balancing dance, like making sure my presence was known in the dance world, but then also running over here to make sure that like I was still trying to uphold this name and this brand that I've built, that I've helped build as Twitch. And it is finding the balance of those two things, like, and while also keeping the integrity of where you came from, what it is you do, because what can happen, a slippery slope with that, especially with like, and I hope like the I hate to say the millennials, because I don't want to be like an old head like that, because I actually am a millennial. I'm first year millennial. But there's just a time that if you're not careful, sometimes the allure of popularity will step on the toes of your artistic expression and then never turn around and be like, oh, excuse me. Like, you know what I mean? And like, do you feel me? So it's just like, because you do put in all of this time and all this sweat and all of this energy and do this, and it feels good to be recognized for that. But then there still has to be a balance of still putting in all of that sweat and like you still have to continue learning and pushing and educating. And for me, that's also been an anchor too, because I've always been a student. Like, there's never a time where I felt like I couldn't learn something. You know, I started dancing late. I started dancing when I was 16 years old. So I've always had like, okay, I got to play catch up mentality. Always. Even when it comes to the street styles, I'm always down to just be like, let's go back over the foundation, right? Like, you know what I mean? If I'm not doing anything, I at least got my foundation in here. Like, you know what I mean? I got the root. So, you know, those things really help. Also, so with family, also being a student, and then making sure that like, and Chad said this best when I was talking to him once. He was like, whenever I get down, I want to make sure, Chad, I want to make sure that like I make my OGs proud. Like, not the people that are in front of me. Like, that's cool if they're entertained and this and that, but like, I'm thinking about all of the people that have come before me and laid the groundwork for me to be doing what I'm doing. Wow. And if they were to just take a peek into what's happening there, I want to make sure that I'm doing something that makes them proud. It's like, yeah, you're doing it, you know, because that in itself, that is a very sobering thing too, because you can get wrapped up in those, but then you realize that your audience is really, they're just somebody that'll scream for a backwards flip anyway. Do you feel me? Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with backwards flip. They're very impressive. But like, but with that being said, you can get caught up in that woo factor and start recycling and then you look back and you're like, man, I haven't man, what's happening? Like, I'm not moving the same. I'm not, you know, and then you ventured so far from who you are at the root because you wanted to maintain that you wanted to maintain that, but then that's a slow death in itself. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's fickle, you know. But what's not is your foundation. Like that's A1. That goes across the board. You can go around the world. If you got your foundation, everybody's gonna understand that. Like, you may go to this place and they're like, oh, we seen a backflip, bro. Like, that's it. Right. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's it. And then you're gonna be stuck in a place like, oh, you didn't like the backflip? Like, I've done the backflip for so long. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's how I felt about finger tutting. It's like after I thought finger tutting, like, oh, you don't like that? Oh, that's all I got.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I like, that today. That was me and for a minute that was like me and Chess Pops. Like, Chess Pops, I remember like Chess Pops got like a really big, like, for, you know, a big one. I was like, oh, y'all like that? Dang, I still like that? Pop, bro. I'm like, dang, I know this song. Let me slide up in here. You know what I mean? You know? So it's just like, it's, you know, those are a couple things that kind of help me stay grounded. And then also, man, I you know, I'm from Alabama, bro. Like, so you know, my parents raised me to just, that you ain't never gonna be no better than anybody. We all gonna be people. So it's like, I don't never want to be in a place where I'm stuck on myself, you know. But what about y'all, man? Like, what the same thing, you know, like, you know, because it's, you know, I'd like to say this too, you guys. Just dropping history, like, me and these guys go back a ways, you know what I mean? Like, and then going back to like those beefs that I was talking about before, there was a time when like Chill Factor, Jabbawockeez and Boogie Monsters were all kind of in this thing. Whoa. But it was nice though, because it was still competitive and it pushed us creatively. But anyway, but needless to say, I've been rocking with these guys for a minute. So and to see what you guys are doing and what you are building is incredible, and it's, I think, so important because you've taken all of these eyes and all this notoriety and all of this energy that people are giving to you, and you've turned it into something that is bigger than yourselves, that other people can now eat off of. You know, I'm sitting here in y'all's dojo right now. You know what I mean? And I see y'all open one in China, and you know what I mean? It's so you've opened it up to this community. But with that being said, with all this popularity and this and that, what about y'all? Like, what kind of helps you stay grounded and keep the integrity of like where you came from and not really get lost in the sauce of all of this, you know?
Yeah, nah, man. It's just like what you said, bro. When you come up in a community that this thing wasn't built on glitz and glamour and money, fame. It was built on just love of dance. And I think any sort of artistic community at least starts there. You know what I'm saying? When anything starts grassroots, there's no money in it. There's no shine. It's just we love it and we're gonna do it for free.
Exactly.
And and I feel like us, you know, growing up in that scene during that time, rocking with various crews, you know what I mean? And, you know, parking lot battles and beefs that, like, again, this was just because, like, yo, this is the culture that we grow up in, and this thing is real. And I think it's so easy to get lost after things start blowing up. It's like, yo, it's exciting. Like, there is money to be had. There are movies to be in, and, you know, all these, like, shows and stuff. And, there's nothing wrong with those things. I actually think that stuff is great because it gives visibility to this community. But then when you get caught up in the visibility versus where it came from, that's where, dude, like, forget even, you know, being considered real or not. I feel like you start to lose a bit of the heart behind it too, where things just stop even being fun. You get so caught up with like, yo, like I need to stay hot, I need to stay relevant, and that gets so in your head that you're not even having fun anymore.
100%.
And then it makes you fall out of love with it, you know. And I'm sure you've probably struggled, you know, a whole bunch of it, you know, to your own degree. But for myself personally, I've been through a lot of this, you know, journey within the community, as well as, you know, from Jabbawockeez to Kinjaz. Like, it's been a whole lot of roller coaster, you know, and I've had to do a lot of just kind of chill out and just check yourself, like, where are you at right now, you know, and is this even still for you, you know? And I had a big year of where I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to continue doing this thing, because if I'm not going to do it with integrity, and if I can't look at myself and be like, yo, this is why you're doing it, and do it honestly, like, you know, the man in the mirror sort of thing. I wanted to stop, and it just kind of took, you know, conversation after conversation with real homies to just really just flush the toilet, you know, just be like, yo, I don't know if I got it anymore. Like, what am I even still doing here? And then just when you kind of like break, you know, just shed the layers and then just get down to the core of it. And for Kinjaz, you know, that's something where I feel like this is a straight community product of the community. Like, we literally brought in, you know, people from Poriotics to, like, let's go even back, Pac Modern to the Kaba Modern to the Culture Shocks, you know what I'm saying? Gen 2's company, you know what I mean? Like, these are real community folks that are still doing it, that have been in the scene for 10 plus years, you know, still doing it. And then now that there are things like, you know, World of Dances and stuff that gives us a platform where we can, excuse me, like, go and showcase what we do, we're now trying to fuse what we came from with, obviously, you know, we're grown men now, you know what I mean? People are getting married and starting families and stuff. We're like, okay, so how do we put food on the table? How do we preserve the thing that we love? It's with a lot of care. It's with a lot of communication. And it's always going back to our roots. And, you know, we have our roots. We say these things like kin at all costs, respect all, fear none, movement in the shadows. And it's not these just hashtags for the sake of hashtagging. Those are checkpoints for us. We put those things out so that we can ask ourselves, are we still living by these things? Is our brotherhood, is our families really the number one right now? Are we living that? Are we, like, respecting everybody? You know what I mean? Like, let's show love to everyone. Let's not hold back where props is due. But at the same time, we don't fear anything either. We're gonna put ourselves out there, and we're gonna be who we are. And movement in the shadows is just like, we don't need to necessarily be like tooting our horns every time about everything that we do. We're gonna do what we do even if people see us or not. But trust, we're there. You know what I'm saying? You may not see us, but we're there, and we're pushing. And so all those things are just checkpoints for us, just to make sure that we know, like, this is why we're doing what we're doing. And, you know, we learn along the way, man. You learn business, you know, you learn how to create a brand. No one taught us this. None of us went to business school or, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of it is by instinct, and then we create and we do what we can, and things that work we stick with, things that don't, they fall off. But yeah, man, we keep pushing because, dude, we genuinely love it. And creating spaces like dojos and stuff like that, it's just our way of creating hubs where we can take what we have here and just take it to places and teach it. Like not just the dance moves, teaching the mentality, teaching the history, teaching like our emphasis on creating community. Man,
that's awesome. I think, and that's was really special about that too. Is I had a conversation with Arnell earlier this year, and it's funny as I'm listening to you talk and saying those things. It's a bit of a direct reflection of like his building of mission statements and how he kind of built how he had his hand in the community as well. The same thing is just like it's funny to just link those things together by family treeways, because it's a reflection of the same sentiment. You know what I mean? Making sure that it's actually not just dance. It's not just dance moves. It is it's mindset, because you can learn moves and take moves anywhere.
Totally.
But but when you walk away from the studio actually thinking and thought provoked, and like that's when you take it to the next level. That's incredible, man.
Thank you, man.
I love it.
I mean, like, so just hearing the way that you approach not just dance, but I feel like you have this this heart and an emphasis on roots, right? So I gotta ask in terms of, so you mentioned your parents. Shout out your parents. I mean, it seemed like you have some rock star parents, man. Did you have any sort of mentors growing up to even currently that you kind of like bounce these ideas off of?
Absolutely, yeah. And all of them, to be quite honest, is like mentors is incredibly important. But all of these mentors are actually a lot of them are self-appointed mentors, meaning like they're hasn't been anybody that's like, yo, I'm going to take you under my wing. It was just kind of like, that person's going to be my I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to learn from that person right now. But I got to shout out, my OG, who is Link from Elite Force.
Hell yeah.
That was like, he took me, he broke everything he gave me the history. He gave me where everything comes from, like what the feeling is and this and that. So I can always count on him for a real opinion and no BS. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still to this day, Wade Robson was a huge mentor of mine, which was awesome. And then my grandfather, man, my grandfather is just like, he's strongest dude that I know. Like, and also is because he's, for sure, it's like the patriarch of the family. Is just that was my first introduction of like leadership, like how you actually lead, whether directly or indirectly. Like that's how to lead people, So like out of those three, like that's those are the ones that come off the top of my mind. And there was other people that I've worked with that I'm like, I consider them. They crafted me a bit. Dave Scott, like I spent a lot of time with Dave Scott for a minute.
Hell yeah.
And he really like gave me game and stuff like that. But everything else has just been bits and pieces from people, man. Also, and more than a mentor, like I got a shout. It's almost like a big brother to me. Is my manager Nelson Diaz, because also, without Nelson, after I did Tell You Think You Can Dance, he was a big part of the reason that I then started recognizing myself as a brand rather than just like, he was like, why would you do this show where you had all this national recognition and then go back to like disappearing behind, like going to dance behind somebody, and there's nothing wrong with, there's nothing wrong with that, but he was like, but I feel like that's not what you want to do, and it wasn't what I wanted to do, so he really kind of helped shift the paradigm for me of what dancers actually could be, because we actually can stand on our own and be our own entity and not necessarily an environmental project. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it doesn't have to be like the artist and then the dancers. It's actually because without the dancers, sometimes the show is boring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, unless the singer can really, really sing. Like, and even then, it's just like, we add a lot, but there wasn't a time too much where we really started to brand ourselves, and Nelson really helped me to recognize that, like to be like, man, that's right. There is a space where we can be us, and say I'm a dancer and be proud of it. Like, you know what I mean? What are you doing? I'm just teaching. I'm just not like, nah, like you're doing incredible things.
Yeah,
you're dancing, you're teaching. Like, so yeah, those are a couple.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
I love how you mentioned self-appointed mentors. I mean, so yeah, I think a lot of times when we think of the concept of mentors, we think that there's like this guy who's like, oh, let me take you under my wing, young Padawan, you know, and it's like, what? Okay, you know. I mean, sure, that stuff happens, but I think, you know, as you grow up and as you kind of start to see, you know, things unfold, you know, the world around you is not really catered to just hand you stuff, right? And I think as young men, especially, you know, we have these ambitions to just like want to go do good things, but and big things, and we just don't know how to quite get there. Because I think for myself too, once I realized like, man, I need help. Like I want to do all these big things, but my brain is just everywhere, you know. And I think it's when you start realizing that you start to value the experience and the wisdom of people who have done it before you, that will probably be older than you. You know what I'm saying? Not always. I mean, some young bucks are mentors to older people too. I mean, so don't let age be the thing. But having that sort of taking that initiative to be like, man, I really respect this guy, and I would love to just have a cup of coffee. Of course. You know what I mean? So like I started to realize if I want this, I need to go seek it out. 100%. And again, no one taught me that either too. I think it's just something that you realize like I value it that much to the point where I need to go seek it out. So I mean, for the sake of even our listening audience, we have a kind of a, you know, younger audience, and people look to us potentially as mentors, right? And this is exactly why we created a platform like this. Like we may not be able to sit down and have a cup of coffee with everybody out there, but hopefully if you're listening, you're getting something from this.
100%, man. 100%.
But yeah, man, I think it's really important to be intentional, you know, and if you find somebody to be of value to you, go let that person know. You know, be like, hey, I admire you for X, Y, and Z. I'd love to, you know, buy you a cup of coffee and pick your brain and be intentional about it, because, you know, dope people out there, people are willing to give if you just ask, you know, and do it with tact.
Do it with tact. I'm so glad you said that. Do it with tact, you know, because also that's something, man, and man, I'm so glad you just said that. Because also for everybody listening, man, it's just like, it's first of all, like you don't have to romanticize everything the way that, like, you know, like he said, like, your mentorship might not start out as like, hey there, young person, come on, I see you from afar, like, and I feel that it's I think it's barely ever gonna happen like that, and if it does happen like that for you, then you're incredibly lucky. So like that go get 'em attitude, but with that though, the tact is incredibly important. Like it is incredibly important. It's because also I think that you know, with how crazy that that popularity and notoriety can be right now, you have to do a good job of making sure that you're letting somebody know that you respect them and that you'd like to learn from them, not just be cool and hang out with them. You know what I mean? I'm not going to grab a cup of coffee with you, so then like we at the spot and people walking by see that we out here talking. So then later when I get up with y'all, it's like, yo, I saw you with no. Like what were y'all talking about? Like no, like you still have to be very still be direct and respectful, and let people know that it's about learning rather than just like, hey, I'm with this person over here. It's incredibly important. So important to know that. Because if you don't approach with tact, then I think you run the danger of being kind of labeled just as a fan or somebody that's just or an opportunist, right? You know what I mean? Which can be a very, very fine line if you're not careful with that, because not too many people want to be around an opportunist, meaning like they're only at you because they can get something from you, as opposed to like, yo, I respect the way you do things. I would love to pick your brain and implement that into what I'm rather than just like, yo, put me on.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Put me on.
Yeah.
Like there's a very different things.
Totally.
Put me on is a bit lazy. Like that's saying do it for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, do it for me. Like you have this, put me on. Like that's not the way it is. It's through conversation. It's through making sure that your morals, your values, and that your principles, your visions actually align. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because then once that's aligned, then people will be personally enticed to then put you on because it makes sense for that person, as opposed to just like, I'm going to do it because you asked me to.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's honesty.
Yeah.
If you approach any situation with honesty, one, there's a lot of grace when it comes to even if you may mess up, but if your approach is honest and
right.
you're humble enough to even recognize, yo, my bad for even approaching
right.
you that way.
Right.
I meant it in this way and
right.
that. And there's so much more grace when you can feel like, man, that was a real mistake.
Right.
It's honest, bro. Like
right.
it's all good.
Yeah.
So I love that, dude. I think just approaching anybody with that sort of just humility, with intention, but like looking at it more than what can I get out of it and how can I shine off for this versus like I just really want to, one, pay you some respect, and two, I value this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like as Twitch, coming up, within both worlds. So you're doing like community things. You're just doing it for the love of dance, and you're starting to book a lot of work. You know what I mean? And through that, how have you seen yourself evolve as an artist? Because I feel like, you said it yourself, dancers aren't just this background piece. I look at you and you're putting it on the forefront, and you're not necessarily doing it with a crew of people. I look at you as like, yo, Twitch is just making moves. And everything from acting to like being on Ellen and all that. So as Twitch as an artist, how has your evolution process been?
Well, I think it's I've leaned in a lot more to the fact that I do love doing a lot of things when it comes to art, like whether it's dance and writing and even being in front of the camera, just hosting, talk, like there's an artistry in that, and being able to control a crowd or just like move a story along.
Sure.
So with that, there was a time where I felt that I only had I should have been focusing on one thing and one thing only. Meaning, if I really had some love for something, like for instance, okay, let me stop mumbling. So
that's good.
So dancing and acting, right? Yeah. So there was a time when, like, I think it was around like 2010 or so, like it was right after Step Up dropped and Stomp the Yard dropped, that I was like, okay, like, all right, I'm an actor now. I said to myself, like, I'm an actor now. So I started to treat dance differently. I started to treat it differently. Like the very foundation that kind of brought me to the point that actually provided me opportunities to act and stuff like that. I started treating it like, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that. Like, no, that's not. No, I'm acting now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it, bro.
And just out of thinking, not really thinking, just in the hype of stuff and just being like, and then getting caught up in like, well, Columbus Short did it, Jennifer Lopez, she did it, like, these are the poster children, so like, like they don't dance anymore. I'm gonna step away from that, like, So as time has gone on, like I have really leaned into the fact that like that an artist has many different facets to express themselves, right? And you can see that more now than ever. I mean, look at Donald Glover, right? Like. And that's just the first one. But there's so many different artists that do various things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's okay. Now, if you choose to focus on one thing, fantastic.
Right.
Focus on it. But like, I felt that I had to leave dance alone and focus on acting. When looking back on it, that actually wasn't the path. That wasn't the path that I was like, when I really look back and connect the pieces. Sure. Because like, I look back and I take a hard audit of it, and I'm like, well, look at the results. Like even during all of that time when I was like, no dancing, no, I was still choreographing mad stuff. I was still dancing and still, you know, even if it was like getting an acting job, it was still like playing a dancer or a choreographer or something like that. And I was missing the signs because I was in my own way. I was missing the signs that like, no, you're on the right path. And also like, for the moment, life is long, dog. Like, life is long. Like people are like, oh, life is too short. But no. To flip it, like life is long. I don't care like when it ends. Like if you're in this present moment of now, life is long. Like so you ride it out. Like there's no reason I should have shunned dance the way that I did. You know, and to try to invite acting in. Right. Like, do you know what I mean? Right. Like, because I built this road and built this flow and I was on it, and then decided like, no, I'm going to stand against the current right now. Like I'm gonna, and that actually put a little bit of a halt to my art, because creatively I then stopped being fed, because I was like, nope, not going to the studio. Gotta go watch a film. Like you know what I mean? Because in my heart of hearts, I wanted to go to the studio, but in my brain, I was saying like, no, I got to make this crossover. Like, you know what I mean? Right. And like, those are the times where it's very important to like, to make sure that you listen to your heart. And I actually should have listened to my heart at that time rather than my head, because my head was confused with something that I was told that I could have, that I was good at it. Like, man, yeah, you could really do this. I can do this. Yeah, I can actually. And I, you know what? I do love acting because I do. But during that time, I was I'm still in love with dance. Still now, right? You know what I mean? Like still. And for the moment though, just because like the movies had happened, you know, there was like, I had gotten a new agent and things were just kind of moving in this direction. And I'm like, okay, cool. I guess like, that part of my life is done. I'm gonna go on to this now. But in my heart of hearts, I never actually felt that. Like I never actually felt good about that. Like it was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop dancing for a bit, and I'm just gonna act right now. Like, and I always said it, never felt it though. You know what I mean? But I just kept. I'm gonna say it till I feel it. I'm gonna say it till I feel it. Never felt it. You know what I mean? Like never felt it. But then when I actually stopped doing that, like. You know, and this has been recent, like the last like year and a half, stuff like that, and just let it like really like lean into the things that I'm loving to do. It's not that I don't love acting and I don't want to do that, but like I'm already in motion. I'm already in motion, and things that are coming to me are already coming to me anyway. So me trying to duck and dodge and do all this is unnatural. You know what I mean? Like you got to think like. We as artists, we put so much love out there, and that's manifestation. You know what I mean? That's like artists are like masters at manifestation, because we think so vividly, right? You know what I mean? Whether it's choreography or goals or a dojo, right? You see it, it's here. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and it's the same. So these feelings that I was having, I was trying to block them with my head, because I was told that I should be in this place, but like I wasn't there yet. So I obviously I need to take control of the situation, you know, rather than just. And so for me, the evolution really has, you know, just going back to the most simplistic form of me, like, and the things that I love, if that makes any sense. Do you know what I mean?
It makes that 1,000%
so much sense.
Yeah.
Bro, I love everything, man. You're dropping so much wisdom right now. So what I mean, as I'm hearing you talk, like I just kind of get this vision of the ocean, right? You said like standing against the current, right?
Yes.
And I mean, like that's what life is. Life is going to push and pull you. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And like you said, instead of ducking and dodging things that are naturally happening, things that are kind of in your presence, and instead of trying to be like, nah, I don't want that right now, like this is the way that I need to be going. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with that, because I think that's that's the journey. That's the process of how you learn. Because unless you do that, you'll never know not to do that. Right. You know what I mean? And you kind of have to let yourself fall a little bit. And what I feel like from hearing you talk, man, you seem to be somebody that's very in tune with not only yourself, but your environment, things that are happening around you. And yeah, man, I think it's okay to, even with the whole acting thing too, when it's like, well, that seems to be the what's happening right now, and there seems to be way more, success, with acting versus dancing. So that seems to be the smarter choice to focus on, but it's like in my heart of hearts, I'm like, I want to dance, but this is what's happening, and this is what I want to focus on. And you did it, and it happened a certain way, and you made your deductions from like this worked and this didn't. But like you came back to like, hold on, let me get back to like, where am I really at with all this? Right. And that's not a common thing too, man, because I think people get lost in that, and they stay lost. Yeah, man. And then that takes you down a downward spiral of whatever. We don't need to get into depression and all that, but like, you know what I'm saying? People lose a lot when they get lost in that. Yeah. And so, dude, that's really dope, man. I'm just kind of like I said, I'm seeing like the ocean, but it's also too, when things are coming at you, receive it. And sometimes it's time for you to kind of like go at some stuff too. Like, I need to like get into the water, and I need to kind of swim, and you figure things out, man. Exactly. And I know when like a big influence for you is Bruce Lee, right? It's absolutely, like water. You know what I mean? It's just like I had always heard that. I'd always heard that quote, and I was like, yeah, I kind of understand that. But you know what I mean? You know, like you're like, oh, I kind of understand what he's saying. Yeah. But then when you live it and you go, oh, ebb and flow, right? Oh, got it. Like water, like shift forms, like, because life is just it's just constantly happening, and there's just so, like, especially now we got, we have computers in our hands, right? Like, and we're just constantly being hit over the head with not only headlines, but we're getting hit over the head with carefully curated highlights of life, right? You know what I mean? So you can be sitting at home, on your day off, right? Like you could have came off of some crate, like y'all could have came from the dojo in China, like spent 2 weeks over there, boom, your day home, right when you get back, you hadn't even been able to like switch over the jet lag and through the room, you sitting on the couch, you tired, you scrolling through Instagram, and then you see one of the homies out here at like a premiere or whatever, they just dropped a new video, whatever, boom, and there's this small part of you back here that goes, well, I need to be doing something. I need to be doing something. Like, I need to be doing something. And if you're not careful, that in itself can be a downward spiral, because then you're also starting to confuse what it is that you actually truly want to things that you're comparing that from what you don't have that other people have, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like you didn't even really want this, but you saw that this person did it, and you're like, I know that person. Like they can do that. You know what? Yo, they made it. I can do that too. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like that in itself is like, that's slippery too, man. That's slippery, because like things seem incredibly appealing when they're curated. Very appealing. Like, because it makes it seem like you can get something like this. You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, I mentioned Jennifer Lopez and Columbus Short before. Both were dancers. Like Columbus was a choreographer for a while, right? And their crossover from where I stood seemed like this, but it wasn't. Like, you know what I mean? But like from where I stood for the moment, it was like, oh yeah. So all I have to do is stop dancing, and then that's going to happen. It's not the truth, right? Do you know what I'm saying? It's not the truth. Like you still have to want, you still actually have to genuinely want what you're going for. You have to genuinely want it, and not like convince yourself that you want it, but like actually genuinely want it in here. Like it's easy to be like up here, like, I want to do that. Like I'd love if I could drop like a concept video every single week. Right. I would love to up here. Yeah. But in here, it's just like, I know that like, there's like every week, not so much. Like maybe every once in a while, 100%, because
but it's because sometimes I see it, and again, I'm such a fan of dance, and those creative juices get going. You scroll and you like, oh man, that's dope. Yo, I need to go do something. You know, and that I need to go do something turns into like, why haven't I done this yet? Like it's been this long and I haven't done this yet. And if you're not careful, if you don't check back in, you'll be stressed out about not doing something that you actually never wanted to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? That you actually never really wanted to do, but it just caught you at a moment where you thought like, oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that for this moment, this momentary emotion right now. Like, want to do it bad.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. Stressed out. Am I a failure? What's going on? Like, it's an endless cycle.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not careful. And even going back to what you were saying before about not only mentors, but also just kind of keeping like your integrity. There was something really special you said about a lot of honest conversations with the homies, like homies that you can have honest conversations with, people that can hold you accountable. And I'm not saying that you have to have, you know, that you have to have somebody in your life to pull you back. Is it like, but it always helps. It always helps to have somebody that actually knows your heart and is also courageous of a friend enough to tell you too, like, yo, do you want that? Or like, okay, that's different. Like, let's talk about that for a second. Like, you know what I mean? You're stressed out. This is causing you this is causing you that. It takes those kind of things, you know, because trying to figure all that out by yourself sometimes it can be incredibly stressful. It
Very
can,
much,
you know. So that I thought that was really important what you said too, and I hope people kind of picked up on that too. Is the importance of having people around you that can tell you real things, you know.
Totally, man. Totally. Yeah. I mean, we're blessed. I mean, Kinjaz, like, we're around each other freaking almost every single day, you know.
Way too much.
Sometimes. But again, though, that is the beauty of it. I mean, you know, things like the podcast, and, you know, we get together, we work on these projects, but it's really because it's coming from a place that's real. It's not like, well, we got to be creating content, so let me just, you know, hit up the dude, you know, that I got to work with right now for the sake of working. It's because we love what we do, and we love doing it with each other. This thing all transpired from a lunch that we had. You know, we were eating at Soup Plantation, just chilling, and we're like, yo, started talking about podcasts, and here we are, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man, I think it's really important to have that, you know, those homies and stuff.
Let me ask y'all something too. Let me open it. Was there a time that either of you were ever kind of like found yourself trying to go after something that truly was not like, and whether it be in the dance realm or like whatever, like ever kind of going after something that was like, did you look back and it was like, that was not for me, like, you know, but you convinced yourself it was for you, but looking back you were like, I actually never felt that, or you know, just wonder along like y'all's journey if that's happened.
I mean, personally, I feel like there's so many things that I've been interested in, and I just like kind of dip my feet in. Sure. But yeah, I haven't really. I guess like graphic design. Yeah. Because you know, I really wanted to help out like the crew, and I really wanted to do it. Yeah. But then I just realized like, oh yeah, this is not my end all be all. This is just like a nice little hobby to have. Right. But at points, I'd be like, you know what? I don't think I should dance anymore. I'm gonna go learn how to draw. I'm gonna go learn all about all these shapes, and then when I like read my graphic design book, I'm like, man, I just want to dance. Yeah,
100%.
So that's like my occasion.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I think for me too, man. I mean, like you're hitting a very kind of a real place for me even now. You know, because I mean, you know, as we get up there in our age, you know, dance is it's like sports, man. It's a young man's game. Yes. And as we all, you know, get up, I'm not 21 anymore, so it's not like I'm gonna be running with these young bucks that are like, you know, 16 years old doing things that I can't even imagine. You know, I'm like, how am I supposed to keep up with this? You know, so. For
and
myself,
good knees.
Yeah, right. You gotta preserve these knees, bro. You know what I'm saying? But you know, so I look at even myself as a dancer, as a creator, a choreographer, whatever you want to call it. it's not what my passion for it too. It's not what it was when I was a kid, because then you do things because it's just like, I'm just excited and whatever. And as you get old, you can get jaded, you can get all these things happen to you. But I've had a lot of just time to just think to myself, like, what is dance for me? Like, I know I'm always gonna love it. You know what I'm saying? It's always gonna be a part of me. I love performing. I love learning. And and for myself, like, being in a space like LA and being in a squad like Kinjaz, it's like, yo, you need to be the illest choreographer with those freaking millions of views, teaching at these dance camps. And like, there's almost this expectation that I feel like I should put on myself. But then I ask myself, like, do you really, really want that? And I have to, if I honestly answer that, it's like, no, I don't. And it's okay.
And that's okay.
Because I think my relationship with dance for what it is now is I love to learn. So it's like, cool, then just stay in student mode, And if you feel that, burst where you want to create and choreograph and teach, then do it, and that's when the best stuff's going to come out anyway, because you wanted to. Just the other day I taught, here at the dojo, just the other day, and one of our work studies, shout out Rachel, she came and asked me, she's like, hey, how come you don't teach more? And I was like, that's a great question, Rachel. Let me tell you, I was like, sometimes it's just not in me. I mean, sure, like, I don't want to get lazy and I don't want to just get complacent and whatever, but I want to push myself too. But I think my relationship with creating is not even what it once was, or what it used to be, and it's okay to kind of be there, and then I look at things like, what else, what are my passions kind of evolving to? Things like podcasts, man. Like, I'm just becoming a geek on learning things, and man, I don't know, I guess I've done some stuff where I might be able to impart a little bit of wisdom on somebody, so I find that that side of educating to be, this is a cool outlet, and I enjoy doing that. And I mean, sure, I think as a creative, as an artist, and as a man, I think I'm always gonna just look around, and I love looking around to the people around me to pull from, to be like, yo, man, like, what are you into right now? It's like, oh, that's tight, and it's all these conversations. So I think for myself too, like, just to kind of answer that question, like, myself as a dancer, choreographer, whatever, that's something that is evolving, and learning to more so embrace it and be okay with it, versus trying to fight against it and think that I need to be this or that, because of what I see on social media and whatever.
Absolutely. That's the funny thing about passion too, that we never really heard growing up too, right? Is that like, passion in itself is as powerful as it is. It's so powerful, but then at the same time, there comes a time where it gets a little fickle, right? Like, and it's not because it's like it's disappearing completely. It's because maybe it's just kind of being reborn into something else. You know what I mean? Because also like. Because I also think we're in a great age too, where the younger ones coming up will have information, and the younger ones that have the patience to sit through and listen to information will have so many gems to pick up on from people that, like, their passion has now become to spread the knowledge that they have, like, through words, through theirs and other people's, like, talking with other people about it, because there weren't too many things that we could pull from as we were coming up, you know what I mean? And think about how passionate you were about everything dance then, and how you wanted to soak up literally everything that anybody either had to say or the movements that they were doing, just so you could take it back, download it, and then start implementing it into your own thing. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. I mean, dog, I would have, back in 2003, I would have killed to hear Kevin Brewer speak, like, or have a Q&A with Kevin Brewer. You know what I'm saying? But also, I had not reached the level of maturity yet that we talked about earlier about being like, hey man, I respect you, bro. Like, can I sit down and talk to you? Like, my dumb ass was like, yo, Sam, I'm trying to battle.
That's how we spoke, man. That's all we knew then.
That was it. I'm like, yo, you trying to battle? But underneath all of that was like, I revere you. Like, totally. How do you hear music like that? How do you, like, man, I just want to sit down and pick your brain. But the only thing that was at my mind was like, he battles, so You understand?
I love it, man. That's freaking good, dude. That's good. Yo, man. I freaking love talking with you, Twitch.
Yeah, man. This is awesome.
But yo, man, want to do a little bit of a lightning round, just trying to fire off some questions at you,
cool.
man. So
Okay.
you know, this is
All right.
fun. You can elaborate as much as you want, but the point of it is just flow off the top of your head. All right. So here we go.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1, lightning round. Dream battle scenario.
Woohoo!
I didn't mean to go right off of the Kevin Brewer thing, not to say that, but just come on, dream battle scenario.
Dream battle scenario? Oh man. Okay. It'd be oh man. Okay. So it'd be myself included or me
It
watching?
can be you, or you could just, I would love to see this happen.
Oh,
it could be
yeah.
like somebody that you would want to battle, or I would just love to see this happen someday.
Oh man, I would love to see. You know what I see? I want to see Chill Factor versus the Jabbawockeez. I still want to see it. I still want to see it. Thing is, y'all, it never happened. It never happened. And all of us are much older now. It would probably be a lot less of an exciting battle than it would have been back in the day.
Man.
But that's I mean, that's kind of real. But at the same time, I'm really digging the international scene right now, man. My Zed is just like that cat is just incredible. So I think I'd love to see Majid and the Twins verse IC. I'd love to see versus Icy, Lando Wilkins. And
What?
This is getting really good.
yeah. And Virgil, Lil O from New York, Virgil. Yeah,
Sick.
that's off the top
That's
of my head.
epic,
That'd be
bro.
dope. That'd be crazy.
Super epic right there.
Name an upcoming dancer who's caught your attention.
Upcoming dancer.
Yeah.
Oh man, Natalie, and her, and I have to. I'm sorry. So her Instagram handle is NatBat.
Oh yeah, she's dope.
She's crazy. And also, I only know her Instagram handle, but her Instagram handle is like logistics.
Oh, Logan.
Logan.
Yo.
Yeah. Big girl Logan. We had her on the pod.
Yeah, she's crazy.
She's crazy.
She's a mutant, bro. A mutant.
She's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For real crazy. That, I mean, because how old is she?
She's
15?
15, yeah. 15-year-old.
Bruh.
Just everything. She's just dance.
Bruh.
You can't even label her. She's
Dance
just-
incarnated between
Yeah.
both scenes, the underground and the community. So
And
crazy, right?
also, sorry, from China, Lil Mushroom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Little Mushroom's tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Mumble rap, hot or not?
Nah.
That was easy. Next one.
One piece of advice for an uninspired dancer.
For an uninspired dancer, to stop looking for inspiration, because inspiration, just like we were talking about, passion and even motivation, that is fickle. Of course, you can be inspired at times, but remember that is somewhat of an emotion to be inspired, right? And that eventually will come to an end. But so more than being inspired, seek discipline. Do you know what I mean? So rather than and so to an uninspired dancer, the answer is not inspiration, it's discipline. Right, because sometimes you can have. I was just listening to this the other day. Sometimes you can set goals for yourself that you don't have the discipline. You don't have the discipline for it yet, and then you end up being mad at yourself because you didn't lay the tracks before. You didn't mentally lay the tracks before to make sure that you can actually get there. You just set it on the end goal without thinking about the discipline. And the end goal can inspire you. You can think, you can see it. You can feel it, and you're like, oh man, right. But then when that fades out, you still have to take the steps to get there, and that takes discipline because you have to take the steps even when you don't want to take the steps, right? You know what I mean? There's been plenty of times where we've probably hit the studio, and on the way there, we were probably like, I don't want to be doing this, but then you get in there, and you're like, got it, cool. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's discipline. Discipline is the answer for uninspired dancers.
That's good, man.
Damn, that's so good.
What should they bring back?
what should they bring back? Oh. Oh man, they should bring back In Living Color. Hey. They should bring back Tiny Toons. They should bring back Animaniacs.
Yes. Yo, you're hitting all the bangers. All of those were on Fox too. Fox was hot, bro.
Yeah, Fox was crazy. Yeah, Fox was crazy.
Martin, right?
Martin, yeah. Oh my God. No, that would be a dream. That'd be crazy.
Good. What is the dance style you fear the most?
A dance style I fear the most?
Yeah.
I think Latin ballrooms, man. Just because like, and this is fear of me doing it because like the clothing is super tight and like and that's fine, but then you got to like move your hips in a way that isn't so awkward that it takes attention away from the beautiful lady that you're usually dancing with. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just scary. Like doing it, and those that can do it well, it's scary too. Because I'm like, how did you do that?
Oh man, that's freaking good. Who should Ellen bring next on her show?
Who should Ellen bring next on her show? Oh, dang.
Who would you love to see as a guest on Ellen?
Let's see. Well, now, I mean, she's that's kind of like now she's brought it. Yo, you know who I'd love to see is you know the group Unorthodox, Firelock and Hurricane.
Whoa,
the Lockers.
Okay,
Yeah.
I need to get up on game.
So Two Lockers, incredible.
Yeah.
Hurricane spelled with a K.
Okay.
And then Firelock. So those two together have a little collective called Unorthodox.
Oh, that's
and
so
they're
sick.
So tight.
bro, like, whew,
Hell
like,
yeah, okay.
And or
I'll look
them
that
or
up.
Cloud.
Oh,
Cloud hasn't been on Ellen yet.
Oh,
What?
man.
Yeah, Cloud hasn't been on Ellen yet. Yeah.
Come on, Ellen.
Yeah.
We got to fix that one.
Yeah.
No, that's good. All right. We haven't seen less of, more of. So, what would you love to see just less of in the world, and then what would, just more of, man?
Man, obviously, I mean, the easy thing to go to less of in the world is hate. Like it's so weird that there's so much. No, I'm sorry, not hate. Publicized hate. I'm not even gonna say that there's like mad hate in the world. There's a lot of publicized hate in the world. Like we get hit in the head with a lot of headlines of a lot of hate that's going on, but also the way that I see it, and I know it's there and it exists, but like not in my circles and not of those circles that go outside of that. Yeah. So I'd love to see a lot less of the promoted and sensationalized hate, like, because it's all over the place, and we start looking at those more than we start looking at the things that are going well. Like we watch the news, and you're going to get way more hateful things than you are going to get what's going on in the community. Right. Yeah. Going great things in the community. Yeah. Those things don't open up Good Morning America and things like that. When you turn the TV on and you look at the newspaper, it's usually something to grab your attention, and that's something that's usually bad. It's weird. Yeah. Like it's such a weird thing that we are. So I'd love to see less of that and more of like some positive stuff that we can all latch onto and know that like, yeah, the world is actually, it's love. Like there is some hate out there, but like we still in here, so it's love. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I love it, man. On that note, man, what's your golden rule? What's like Twitch's life mantra? What you live by?
It's perfectly there from that last one is let love lead, man. And everything else will take care of itself, because it's like you can either move forward in fear, or you can move forward in love. And with fear, it comes all this other stuff. But when you lead with love, like let love lead the way, like everything else just kind of falls into place. You know, this is like how we got to this conversation and things that we've touched on in this conversation. If either one of you look back on your personal journeys, is when you were doing what you love, is when it was being built for you. Boom. Effortlessly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and because you were just moving forward in love, and like sometimes you didn't know how things were going to happen, or you didn't know people that you were going to come in contact with that would be significant in your life to ways that you didn't even know how. But like you're leading with love, like rather than fear. Because fear, you walk into new rooms and you go and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, and you're closed off. You kind of like, this love, you opened up. Like you're opened up. You want to add to the conversation of what's going on, not just be a fly on the wall and just be that weird dude that's just like, you know, like that's always around but never really involved. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, let love lead, man. That's it.
That's good. Yeah. That's amazing. Twitch, bro, man.
Wow.
It's been really good.
Dude, man, let me tell you,
go on forever, but we'll continue on your podcast.
We will. Yes. Right? And let me say this. So we'll definitely continue on. Sorry, I'm sick. We'll continue on my podcast, but let me say this too, man. I appreciate y'all. I respect y'all. I love everything that y'all are doing. Like I barely get to see you guys in the flesh, but everything that I'm seeing, like, you know, through social media or even just hearing about, you know, is exactly what I was just talking about, man. Those are the things I want to see more of, like, because those things provide hope. You know what I'm saying? And y'all have done a really excellent job of taking your talents and your gifts and planting those seeds to where trees where people can eat from those things. You know what I mean? Like you guys students, you're feeding the future right now. Like, and that's not to be taken lightly. So please, if you listening to this, like, don't just prescribe to like not just their like the physical movements, but like the mental movements too. Like the, you know, the creeds that they go by. Like, if you listening to this, like this is why you're listening, because these are life lessons, and like learn from them. They're excellent examples, man. And I give it up to y'all, man. Y'all are dope.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say thank you, and I'll receive it, man.
Yeah, man.
Receive that.
Yeah.
That's appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. My brother.
You are a real one, bro. I appreciate you, man. We support just all the moves you're making. Congratulations on life, bro. You killing it, bro.
Thank you, y'all too, man.
Yeah, man, you're just a real one, bro. Where can people follow you? The journey, social media, all that stuff.
On Instagram, I'm Sir Twitch a lot. There's an underscore between each of those. Are Sir Twitch a lot, and then on Twitter, I'm at official Twitch.
There it is. There it is.
Hey. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you for listening, you guys. Mike Fowl normally does this, but you know. Subscribe if you haven't, you know, share it, leave us that 5-star rating, you know, let people know what's good. We appreciate you guys. Kinjaz PodKast, no, Kinjaz.com/podcast. We changed that. So follow the journey. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see y'all next time.
Boom.
Peace.
Kinjaz.